Welcome to Laker Debaters. I'm your host, Mike Maxwell, joined to my left by Joe Cummings and Jacob Pucci. And today we're going to debate some of the biggest topics in sports. And what we're talking about first, if you haven't heard about it, you must be living under a rock because it's been everywhere from ESPN to CNN to I can't even think of anywhere else it could have been. But let's get started. Penn State has a scandal going along with one of their former coaches allegedly sexually harassed and molested a child in a shower. Joe Paterno was just recently fired due to those allegations, although he did what he was legally required to do in telling the athletic director. Jake, we're going to start with you. How do you feel about this situation that Paterno was fired for something that Jerry Sandusky did?
You know what? It is absolutely the right decision. He knew about it. Recent reports said that it's like 8 kids. I heard something today. It could be even more, 10 additional victims. The fact that there's so many kids being violated and disturbed for the rest of their lives, and he knew about it for almost 10 years now, and has done nothing to actually stop it. He's been there for 42 years, but no, he needs to go, and we made the right decision.
In my eyes, I guess like Paterno is just the coach of the team, though. So I guess if he did have prior knowledge of it, then it would make sense to fire him. But if he did not have prior knowledge to it, or if he was just trying to manage his football team, do you think that he should be held accountable for somebody else's actions?
But he did prior knowledge of it. That's the point. 2002 was when the first allegations came out. Sandusky retired in '99.
Right.
And then it's even knowledge that Paterno knew about before that, and he allowed Sandusky to use the facilities to have the football camp there, fully knowing that this was a definite possibility of him taking advantage of younger children. No, it's just
fair enough.
I don't necessarily disagree with you. I think he should have done more, but he did do what he was legally required to do. He didn't. It's not like he just said nothing and just pretended it didn't happen and slipped under. He fulfilled his obligations. It seems as though he was kicked out because they're like, well, you could have done more. And hindsight's 20/20, and you got to think maybe it was his good friend, and it's just like, I did what I had to do. I don't want to ruin this guy's life. I'm not saying what he did was right in any means. It's terrible. But I think they could have let Paterno finish the season and then let him go. He's been there for so long, and he did meet the requirements. I can't stress that enough. He did do what he was supposed to do. But I understand where they're coming from, but I don't necessarily agree with it.
Yeah, I'm the same boat. I don't agree with it either. I don't think that he should. I do believe he should have been able to finish the season at least. And then let's cook actions after. But
it's the only thing is that they fired the vice president, fired the president of the college, the president of Penn State. They fired him. Soon right after it happened. You're gonna fire every other member of the administration. You're gonna fire everyone else besides Paterno. If he wasn't Joe Paterno, he would have been fired. It wouldn't have been a big deal.
Right.
But he's Joe Paterno. He is Penn State.
But they did let another assistant stay on, Mike McCurry, I believe.
One who actually saw it in his own eyes.
It was reported today that he claimed that he told the police. Mm-hmm. The police said that they have no record of him telling it, and he still has a job there. Why does that guy still have a job and Joe Paterno doesn't? I don't know I've never heard of Mike McCurry before this came out, I have to be honest, but everyone knows who Joe Paterno is. He's arguably the best college football coach of all time. And he wasn't allowed to keep his job, but this assistant who lied was able to keep his job, and that just doesn't seem right to me.
Yeah, McCurry was put on leave, I guess trying to sort everything out, I guess you'd say. If this is actually true, I know I heard it today that he didn't actually report it to police. If he lied about that, then I think they have to fire him after that.
Oh, absolutely.
But would I fire McCurry right now? Maybe. I would lean towards yes, just because it's symbolic. You want to clean house. You want to put that past, behind you. Instead, they fired all the other administration. They fired the president. They fired everyone else associated with it. They can't let Paterno just be the one person who stays there. But the fact that they had a press conference, he announced he was retiring at the end of the year, and then the next day after they fire him, they could have handled that a lot better, I think.
I think though, if they would have let him, if they would have let him stay, there would have been a big controversy. It would have been all about, he knew all about it. They let him stay, and that would have been on, them more than just getting rid of Paterno and canning it all together. Like you said. So, I think it is where it is.
I think due to his status as really an icon in college sports, and I understand that there was a mistake made here. He should have done more, but just with someone with that much influence on campus, I mean, there's riots when he was fired. So I mean, either way, something bad was going to happen. There's going to be a controversy, or there's going to be riots on campus. I think a controversy would be a little less damaging than riots on campus. But I guess you could argue that maybe people who didn't agree with him being let on would start riots.
It does kind of, you know, it sucks that Paterno's reputation now is going to be more or less tarnished. You know what I mean? Yeah. He's not going to be looked at like as this legend who was there, you know, coaching this team in and out every season, you know, and winning championships and stuff too. You know, he's going to be looked at as like, oh, that's Paterno. That's the guy who knew about something that some other guy did.
It's truly unfortunate. I feel if he was the one who did this, then it would be right. But he didn't. It was someone on his staff that no longer worked there. I mean, it's just a really, really unfortunate thing. And this is just a truly sad story. And we're going to try to break the sadness. We're going to move on to a happier topic. How about the Green Bay Packers? They're 9-0, just beat the Minnesota Vikings 45-7 Monday night. I'm going to ask the question now. Will they go undefeated? We'll start with you.
I don't believe they'll go undefeated. I definitely think they're going to have a great season the rest of the season. You know, I mean, they have a huge receiver core, so they're definitely, you know, they have the talent to do it. They're going to be able to, you know, I mean, is it impossible? No, they definitely could go undefeated, but I don't think that. I think they're going to hit a bump eventually. So, but you know, it all comes with time.
Right.
Jake? Yeah, I mean, as a Patriots fan myself, I'm a diehard Patriots fan. I've seen a team go undefeated in the NFL. You know, they lost Super Bowl, but that's another question. But the way the Packers defense has been this year, I think it hasn't been good enough to be undefeated good. Their offense is. Offense is, I think, is the best in the league. Their defense, I believe, is, you know, late 20s in ranking. I mean, it's not championship. It could be championship. It's not undefeated level.
You know,
team right there. Sorry, it's not.
Overall, maybe it hasn't been. But if you watch the schemes that they worked in on Monday night, Dom Capers had Charles Woodson all over the field that night. He was a monster. If they can continue to do that, and just like they even shut down Peterson, who's one of the best, if not the best running back in the league. I think even though they've given up a lot of yards and they've been criticized, I believe, off the top of my head, I believe they're still near top 10 in points allowed per game. So they're not giving up points. They're just giving up yards. It's a bend but don't break sort of thing. Yeah. But on Monday night, they looked a lot better. Before Monday night, I would say no. I think they'll probably lose to the Giants on the road or the Lions. But just the way they looked, if they can put up anywhere near that defensive effort the rest of the season, I honestly think they're going to go undefeated for the regular season. I'm not going to go all the way through the Super Bowl, but I'm going to say that I think they will go through the regular season because they have Aaron Rodgers, who's having one of the best years we've seen ever. I mean, Tom Brady's year when he had the 50 touchdowns is the only one I can think of that's been this dominant so far.
And so few picks, too, for Rodgers. 3 interceptions.
I know, just 3 interceptions to 28 touchdowns. It's, wow.
What happens, though, What happens, though, if something happens to Rodgers to where he gets hurt then? You know what I mean? Then I don't think that they have the talent. I mean, they have Matt Flynn as a backup, but I don't think that they have the talent, you know, at the quarterback position then to pursue, you know, an undefeated season.
Undefeated season, no. But Matt Flynn, I think he could lead them on a playoff run. He's been shown to be very capable.
I was going to say, last year I remember watching the Packers play the Patriots last year. I watched Matt Flynn tear up that Pat secondary. Yeah. Threw for a good 300 yards. 2 or 3 touchdowns. Yeah, no, I mean, Matt Flynn, he's no Aaron Rodgers, but then again, no one really is. No. Matt Flynn is probably better than some other starters in this league, though, so I think he'll be fine.
I believe he's a free agent at the end of this year. He's going to be a hot commodity. Anything when it needs a quarterback. He is very good. Now, it helps that the Packers have a really loaded secondary. And, I mean, they have Aaron Rodgers, who could have been drafted by the San Francisco 49ers, #1 overall in that draft. And the 49ers with Alex Smith are 8-1. What do you guys think about them? A lot of people aren't giving them credit. I mean, I don't know if they're for real. I'm going to ask you guys, and then I'll give my opinion. I'm going to ask Joe first.
Okay. I think that the 49ers defensively are phenomenal. I mean, I think that they have a great linebackers. They have, you know, they just have a great team, you know, on the defensive side. Offensively, I think that Frank Gore, he just got, you know, a little banged up. I think he'll probably come back and do what he's been doing. But I definitely think they're worth the 8-1 record that they have. I think they've showed and they've proved that they have what it takes. I just think that they definitely have what it takes. They can have as good of a record as the Packers at the end, or not better. So
I'm not going to agree with that. I'm sorry, I don't trust Alex Smith to give him to that point. I think they'll be a good team. Don't worry. I mean, they'll have the NFC West by, I don't know, 3 weeks from now.
Right.
But, like, I just cannot see them being a legitimate contender. Frank Gore's great. Their defense is great. But at the end of the day, the quarterback is the most important weapon on the field. And Smith has been good so far. Not great. He's been good. He's just limited passing. But I just don't know if they have the weapons, like the receivers. Michael Crabtree and
Braylon Edwards. I mean, no, it's. I agree with you. I don't think the Niners will continue. I mean, 8-1. I mean, I was make the playoffs of the NFC West. Every team pretty much can. But Alex Smith is Alex Smith. He's been there for 7 years now.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the same guy. I mean, like he's looked better this year, but he's not like a young quarterback. He's not like this is his first year in the league. He's learning the system. You could say that. He's an experienced player now. He's a veteran. You kind of know what you're getting with Alex Smith, and you're getting mediocrity. I mean, is this kind of like is he a flash in the pan this year? I guess. We'll wait and find out, but I just don't think they're gonna keep up with the pace of, like you said, with the Packers.
Now going back to if you took Aaron Rodgers out of the equation, I mean, would you then think that the 49ers would contend?
I think they'd be closer, but
that's a big variable, though.
Right. Yeah, taking the best player in the game off the team. But even then, I still think it'd be close. Like I think the Packers still might be better. I mean, they have way more weapons for him than Smith does.
Yeah, I mean, offensively, Frank Gore, he's a great running back. Crabtree he showed flashes. He's a high draft pick. He's young. Braylon Edwards is Braylon Edwards.
All right.
And then after that, Vern Davis, a very good tight end. Love him.
Yeah.
But aside from that, it's just like there's no big flashy players.
Right.
I mean, Patrick Willis is the star of the defense. There's a lot of solid players.
Yeah.
But you're not gonna, they have a lot of really good defensive players, like underrated, smaller name players. But I mean, I think they'll go in the playoffs. I think they'll go maybe even to the NFC Championship game, maybe.
Yeah.
But besides that, I don't see them getting past the Packers though. No.
And the 49ers, they've won 7 in a row. They're a team on the rise. When we come back from a commercial break, we'll talk about a team that started off hot that's now on the fall. Stay tuned.